Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to continue to have a look at the latest on the heat wave that we have that is gripping the British Isles at the moment. Temperatures finally surpassing that 30-degree mark quite widely today. They're only going to rise over the next few days. We have the amber warning for extreme heat coming into force tomorrow, and as we head into the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday time, that's where temperature could really peak in around the mid-30s. 34 to 36 degrees is very possible, maybe even slightly higher. And we'll have a look at the mid to longer range as well, and we've been talking about the breakdown coming next week. Some of the models today, though, have unfortunately sort of delayed that a little bit. Some of the runs today are pushing that breakdown back by a couple days, so we could be setting up a good 5 to 7 days here of persistent 30-degree weather somewhere in the country, at least widely over the next 3, 4, 5 days. And as we head into next week, we could be really keeping hold of those hot and warm air masses. It could, of course, keep those temperatures really high, but it could also fuel some thunderstorms, and that is something we will keep an eye on over the next couple of days. Again, once we get into the sort of shorter range models, we'll have a look at that in a lot of detail. So over the next day or two, do stay tuned for that, as we will be concentrating more on that breakdown and that thunderstorm risk next week than we will at the temperatures, because the temperatures are looking near enough bang on, just slight deviations, whether it's going to be sort of 33, 34, or maybe slightly higher, 35, 36, or maybe even 37 or 38 is possible locally. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if you start on live radar, you can see it is another extremely dry day. Some precipitation trying to push into the northwest of Scotland, and it will make some inroads, but most likely will just be a bit of cloud and maybe some persistent rain for some islands. But most areas are completely dry, wall-to-wall sunshine for many, some clouds popping up here or there, but nothing too crazy at all. A really nice, pleasant day, and you can see that across most of northwest Europe, in the part of Scandinavia as well, as that's where the big high-pressure system is positioned at the moment. Now, recording this around 4 p.m, so we do have the top temperatures on the when we have a look at net weather for the top temperatures of the day. And again, as I said, we have reached about 31 degrees today. Again, I'll update when we get there, but from what I've seen so far, it's about 31 degrees and widely 29 or 30. All of the top 25 temperatures today have all been 30 plus degrees. So widespread warmth, and it's just going to creep up over the next few days, peaking around 35, maybe higher come Friday to Sunday. And you can just see it's all the way to Scotland, all the way down to southwest of England. And again, the peak temperatures are in this south and western quadrant of England and parts of Wales as well, through the West Midlands, southern parts of Wales, through southwestern England. This is where those temperatures are going to be the hottest, where we could see that mid to high 30s. But even across Ireland, Northern Ireland, and parts of Scotland, getting up into the mid to high 20s, and could even get into the 30s in a few regions here as well. Now you can see there's pink colours, which is the extremely hot air, has been edging up over the last couple of days. We have watched it progress from the Mediterranean, northern parts of Africa, through Spain, and now it's into parts of central France, and we'll be heading towards the UK. Wouldn't be surprised seeing patches of pink, which is mid to high 30s, into England and Wales over the next couple of days. So if we do have a look at the maximum temperatures for today, if we do refresh it briefly, you can see max temperatures in around the 3-4 p.m. time are widely 30 plus degrees all the way across the country. Really, you can see areas in Cardiff 30 degrees, into Yorkshire 30 degrees, down Northolt in London 30.6 degrees, and I don't really know how to pronounce that, Yeovilton perhaps, 31 degrees there at 3 p.m, the top temperature on net weather today. Again, we'll have to wait for the official Met Office post later this evening to see what their official top temperature of the day is, but it'll be in that 31, maybe even getting up to maybe towards 32 range. Yesterday we did actually just break the 30 degree mark, but it was widely 28 or 29. So continuing this 30 degree stretch, but yeah, up and down the country, incredibly hot. Actually, Exeter all the way up to Yorkshire, 30 plus degrees, and it will only rise over the next couple of days. Now we still have that extreme heat warning that was put in force yesterday, covering most of England and parts of Wales, and it's starting tonight at midnight all the way until Sunday evening. I'm not expecting it to be extended at this stage, but it could be extended into Monday, depending what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours with the shorter range models, whether they do keep that intense heat for some areas, especially in the east, or whether it does break down. But it could be extended. We'll just have to see exactly how it does play out. But again, Hasn't been updated today. It was only last updated when it was issued. But again, temperatures will increase across much of the UK over the coming week. Temperatures will be highest across parts of England and Wales, with these peaking on Friday and Saturday, in addition to high daytime maxima. Temperatures overnight will remain very warm, especially in large urban areas. Now, of course, some will be asking, could we see a red warning with this? I think it's very, very unlikely. I think that red warning from now on will be exclusive for temperatures that could reach 40 degrees. There's no chance of 40 degrees within this heat wave. Mid to high 30s, very possible. Hitting on our previous all-time temperature record from previous to 2019 of 38.1 degrees, we could hit that. Perhaps a sliver of chance hitting that, but 36, 37 I think is very possible, and widely 34 to 35. So this is what I think is the amber extreme heat warning sort of zone, is that mid-30s sort of region. And as I said, it's going to continue all the way through to Sunday, and some regions could even see still into the 30s for Monday and Tuesday next week. So if we do have a look at the latest from the UKV run, have a look at the precipitation temperature over the next 5 days. Again, we'll be able to whiz through precipitation because really nothing much is going on. And as we do run through, you can see this afternoon, nothing. Bit of precipitation pushing into the far northwest, but it's not really making any inroads at all, except for the far north of Scotland, a bit of cloud and some patchy rain. And it continues through Friday, Saturday, really dry. As we head into Monday, though, you can see heavy showers and thunderstorms starting to break out across parts of Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. And as we head into Monday, you can see some showers starting to bubble up within the very hot air. But we haven't got that low pressure pushing in yet. The instability is still out to our west. So Monday could still be a very hot day in some areas. You can still look at the 850 HPA temperatures from the latest UKV run. Still being around the mid to high teens, early hours of Monday. That's why I still think low to mid 30s is still possible through Monday afternoon in some areas, but you can see that's on 9, 10 degrees at 850 HPA, which is around average for this time of year, but a lot cooler than what we'll have through the weekend. That is pushing in from the west, and that temperature contrast instability will provide some showers and storms through the early part of next week. So if we do now have a look at the max temperatures from the UKV today, you can see this afternoon temperatures of around 30 to 31 degrees was forecasted by the UKV, and that's pretty much accurate what we've seen today. So UKV again getting those temperatures pretty much bang on for those 3 p.m. observations. So it's looking pretty reliable, the UKV so far. And as we head through to Thursday, you see much more widely 30 to 32 degrees. Again, somewhere in the far south, could see those temperatures peak around 33, but widely around that 30, 31 or 32 degree mark. And even to parts of Scotland, could be seen to high 20s, maybe 30 degrees, as well as Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland as well. As we head through to Friday, those temperatures will rise even higher, widely again, 30 to 32 degrees, perhaps 33, 34, even 35 in that bullseye area across the west and the south. And as we head into Saturday, again very hot, maybe slightly cooler in a couple spots, but still 30 to 33, maybe 34 or 35, and through to Sunday, again 30 to 32 widely, maybe 33, 34, 35, and again locally you cannot rule out a 36 or 37 in a few spots. So yeah, still looking incredibly hot. I know those overnight temperatures are not going to be cool at all. You can see Monday early hours widely in the high teens, low 20s. So it's this persistent heat. One or 2 days at low 30s are not too bad, but it's this 5 days plus stretch of 30s, low 30s to mid 30s with very warm overnight temperatures. It's just going to bake everyone's properties, and it's just going to mean it's going to be really difficult sleeping and just not going to get much respite for perhaps as much as a week for some, especially in the east. It doesn't look like it's going to be cooling down incredibly quickly next week. Could be showers and thunderstorms around, but doesn't look likely to be much cooler perhaps until maybe this time next week. Now, if we do have a look at the GFS and compare those temperatures, you can see this afternoon temperatures widely 30, 31, touching on 32, so maybe slightly cooler than in reality, slightly warmer, than we saw in reality, but still 30, 31, so still getting it pretty much bang on. Tomorrow, those temperatures from the GFS would rise to around 33, 34, maybe even 35 tomorrow. That's a lot hotter than UKV, which was very much more around that 32, 33 degree range. So GFS very hot today, and into Friday, maybe 36 degrees peaking with widely 33 to 35. That's incredibly hot. And through to Saturday, widely 34, 35, and maybe 36. And you couldn't rule out 37 there. And as we head into Sunday, still incredibly hot, 35, 36. But it's persistent 2 or 3 days of 35, 36. I would be surprised not to see at least one weather station somewhere within this to pop over that 37-degree mark. So very, very hot conditions from the GFS today and into Monday. You can see that continuing mid-30s, 36 degrees in East Anglia through Monday afternoon, and Tuesday still into the low 30s. And it's this time next week we're now touching back in the mid to high 20s. So it could be a full week before we see anything remotely below 30 degrees, and even then not particularly cooling down that quickly. And Thursday still high 20s in the east, and it's almost 10 days time we could be seeing temperatures back towards average. So incredibly persistent hot conditions from the latest GFS Operational Run. Incredibly hot. Hopefully this does not come off. We are hoping for more swift breakdowns and big thunderstorms, some showers and cooler conditions in maybe 5, 6, 7 days time. But this GFS run really holds it on all the way to perhaps day 9 or day 10. Now, if we do look at the GM, see how that does compare out to day 10. You can see the temperatures this afternoon, widely around the high 20s, touching on maybe 30 degrees, but perhaps a little bit underdone this GM run. Again, it was similar yesterday. It's a degree or two below. We peaked at 31 and widely was 30. So we could probably add about a degree onto the rest of these GFS charts because it is about a degree under. And again, widely tomorrow 30 to 31, maybe locally 32, so we could say about 33 or 34 could be reached there. And similarly on Friday, widely 31 or 32, could peak at 33, 34, and through to Saturday, widely 30 to 32, locally 33, 34, and similar on Sunday, widely 30 to 32, peaking around 33, 34. So much more modest here from the GM, a good few degrees below the GFS, but I do think there is this bit of a systematic cooling there from the GM run, as it is a good degree or two cooler than what we've seen in reality today. So I do think it's on the cooler end of the spectrum. As we head into Monday, though, you can see that temperatures do still hold on, but only in the far east. And by Tuesday, it's widely cooler. So the GM has it cooling down by Tuesday, not Thursday or Friday, like the GFS has done. So if we do have a look at the operational runs now in the pressure charts and see why it could take 7 to 10 days for this hot spell to subside. If we just actually have a look at the AM/50 HPA temperatures, because we can still see the isobars and general low pressure systems, but it's very important to have a look at the air masses here. Now you can see the very hot air wafting up from our south and just taking over the next few days, peaking really upper air temperatures around the weekend. Saturday, Sunday time, around 20 degrees at 850 HPA could be reached along the far south coast. Beyond that, we stay in this very hot air and low pressure develops in it through Monday and Tuesday. Now the far east, as we saw in the GFS operational run, hangs on into this very hot air and can stay incredibly hot all the way through the week, but towards the west, much cooler air spinning in, and it could introduce a lot of instability, and with that hot air lingering in the east, we could see a big thundery breakdown. It would be slow moving, so there would be a lot of showers around, there could be a lot of pop-up storms, and also multi-celled systems. So it could be a very intense thunder sort of outbreak there as the low pressure eventually moves through. But with low pressure sitting out the Atlantic, we couldn't rule out later in August, again pulling up some very hot air from the southeast. Again, we did see that on a previous GFS run earlier today, but on this run, the 6 o'clock run, we do generally just go a lot more westerly. So you can see why we're hanging on to that very hot air. It's not the high pressure dominant hot air that we're seeing over the next 5 days. It would be more unstable. So some areas would still get into the low to mid 30s, but other areas would be much cooler further westwards where we have low pressure influencing. So it's more of an unstable hot air mass than a very dry, stable air mass we have at the moment as the low pressure starts to sort of influence it. So it could be a very thundery but hot as well next week. A very big mix could be seen, starting very hot at the start of next week, turning much cooler through the week, but with a lot of heavy showers and thunderstorms. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. As I said, we'll concentrate that in more detail over the next day or two when we have a look at the short range models. So if we do now compare that to the GM at day 10 and have a look what that is showing today. Again, high pressure in control at the moment. Again, if we put the AM/50 HPA temperatures on, you can see very hot air mass spreading in from the south, controlling our weather before the low pressure moves in around next Tuesday. But instead of keeping that hot air wrapped around it, it just moves through much quicker. We go into a northerly wind, quite a cold air mass moves in from the north, and we go more westerly. Very unsettled with that as well, with low pressure pushing in, and that would be breaking this drought very quickly with precipitation quite widely. Again, it wouldn't demolish the drought. We would still have below average rainfall rainfall, and it will take a number of weeks and even months of average or above average rainfall to sort of reduce the impacts we have at the moment, but it would at least put a dent in it for a few days here with some persistent rain. Now, if we compare it to the ECMWF, see what that is showing today, you can see again high pressure in control with very hot air. That hot air continues to move up from the south, and eventually next week that low pressure develops, but it develops much further westwards and southwards. Now, this is very interesting because what this does is it starts to bring an even hotter air mass dragging out from Africa. We could see 20-degree isotherm coming back in, maybe even hotter. That sort of outcome, although it didn't come off, could send us incredibly hot once again. Mid to high 30s wouldn't be ruled out with this massive plume of incredibly hot air, and you couldn't even rule out a 40-degree if we did see that once again. Again, if we do run it back, it's very similar synoptics to what we saw in the middle of July. This incredibly hot air mass, 20 to 25 degrees at 850 HPA. The air mass we saw where we broke 40 degrees, looking likely to be sweeping up from the south with the low pressure positioned further southwards and westwards. It could throw some thunderstorms into the equation as well, up in the south and the west. But if it did come off, and it did play out exactly as it did in July, which is possible, looking at these pressure charts with the temperatures on it, we could be going very, very hot, and we are seeing that from some ensemble members. So if we do have a look at the ensemble members, you can see those here. This is the latest GFS ensemble members. We don't see anything incredibly hot in the longer run. That is on that ECMWF operational. But you can see very hot air mass over the next 5 days, perhaps slightly higher on some runs, including the operational GFS. That's why we're seeing mid to high 30s, potentially 36, 37 on that GFS operational run. But the majority around that 16, 17 degree mark, which is low to mid 30, sorry. And then there is a delay in the drop-off. So it was pretty much certain a day or two ago of all the ensemble members dropping off very quickly. Some do around the 16th, 17th. In around 6 or 7 days' time, others are much more prolonged. You see the operational run struggled to get towards average for another 10 days. Above average conditions would be seen in London. So that is mid to high 20s at least, if not into the 30s. Now we continue to stay very warm. Beyond that on some runs, but a lot of them are back towards average for the last 10 days of August, with quite a few precipitation spikes around. So we could be setting up a very hot week once again next week, but a lot more unsettled with some thunderstorms around, especially in the west, but also pushing into the east where we do hold on to that hotter air. Now, if we compare it to the ECMWF ensembles, you can see very warm over the next 5 or 6 days, then a very slow drop-off, only getting towards average around the 18th, 19th, 20th from a lot of the ensemble members. Some going very cool with a northerly flow, with that low pressure clearing very quickly eastwards. Others include the operational run, the control run, and a few ensemble members keep that low pressure further westwards and southwards. And what does that do? It draws up an incredibly hot air mass from the south and could give us, again, another few days of heat wave conditions. And if we really get that air mass going, could bring us up into the mid to high 30s, maybe even touching on 40 degrees if we did see that 20+ degree isotherm move in. Very few ensemble members going for that, but it is a scenario, and this is the spread we have. So others that stay in the middle with the low pressure in and around us produce a lot of precipitation, as you can see at the bottom, so we would be breaking our drought with this sort of pattern, but it would still be very warm, hot, thundery, and that's a pattern we could be seeing next week. I know a lot of people listening to this would probably love that. Continued warm or above average conditions, but also plenty of heavy showers, thunderstorms, photogenic skies. We could be seen with this very hot air mass with a low pressure influence. It is a recipe for big multi-celled systems or pop-up storms, and we'll just have to see over the next few days how this does develop. Once we do get these synoptics pretty much bang on, we'll have a very good idea on what sort of conditions we're going to be seeing next week. Continued very hot, dry weather, or very unsettled, cooler weather, or in the middle, which is still hot, unsettled though, with thunderstorms. So it is something we do need to keep an eye on. I do think it will be ironed out over the next couple of days, and that is when we'll start to have a look at those precipitation charts for next week, seeing what sort of precipitation, positioning, intensity, and thunder activity we could be seeing next week. So please do stay tuned for that, because I know a lot of people will be interested when we could see some rain, but also how long this hot weather will go on, and whether we see some thunderstorms. That it all does sort of coincide together. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure to stay safe out there over the next few days. Make sure to look after vulnerable people around you, your neighbours, family members and friends, as it is oppressively hot. But it's not only just oppressively hot for a couple of days, it's for multiple days, 3, 4, 5 days. Some even could be longer. So it's that longevity that could produce dehydration over many days, could create multiple days of sunburn, things like that. And once they do tot up, then we could start to get into some issues. So please do look after each other and do stay safe out there over the next few days. And of course, make sure you do heed the warnings for fire risks as well. It is still very tinderbox conditions out there, so make sure you do, if you are smoking, do put out your cigarette butts appropriately, and do not barbecue in areas where we've got vegetation around and stuff. Please do take the necessary precautions. I really hope we don't see those really horrible images we saw a few weeks ago back in July, where we did see that 40-degree weather produce huge amounts of wildfires where we saw that 40-degree region. So anyway, thanks for watching, stay safe, I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you again for another video soon.